The recent wave of mysterious drone sightings, paired with national security concerns, might compel Western governments to tighten regulations on drones. In today's video, we're going to share with you a state-of-the-art thermal imaging drone that still happens to be legal, but perhaps not for long. Okay, so there's two different types of technology that are incredible force multipliers for preppers, and we've talked about both on this channel before. One of those is thermal imagers. The other one is drones. Now, if you marry these two technologies together, you get a force multiplier. We're talking about exponentially expanding your range of capabilities. We're going to show you a thermal drone today, and we're going to talk about why this really is the ultimate preparedness item. So if you're one of those preppers who has everything, okay, you got the cabin in the woods, you got the year's worth of underwear and food supply, you got the year's worth of toilet paper, you got all the boxes checked, and you want to forego season tickets to the Toronto Raptors or maybe a year's worth of a bad smoking habit, then you might want to take a look at a thermal drone. I'm not trying to sell people on this. I get no money from this company, but I just want to talk about why this really is the ultimate piece of prepping technology. Now, I already hear what you're saying in the comments. I want you to go down and type in unison that this is going to be worthless after an EMP cooks its circuits. Let's get it out of our system. Okay, now we can embrace the 21st century once again. So I've talked about the Neo. This is a cost-effective drone, $200 drone. You won't find lower, and if you do, it's probably going to be a piece of shit. There's a lot of gimmicks out there that cost a lot of money. I'm telling you personally, on my acreage, I use this at least once every 48 hours. It's that useful. The difference between what a normal drone can see and a thermal imager can see is literally night and day. If you've hunted before, or if you spent a lot of time in the wilderness, you know how easy it is for an animal to blend in. There can be a deer 40 meters ahead of you and you won't see it because it blends into the grass so well. You put this thing up in the sky, and with the high resolution thermal imager, you can see a deer from miles away. It immediately jumps out, even if it's hiding in the trees because of its thermal signature. What it's doing, it's taking millions of different measurements of the temperature and it's compiling that into an image. And so really, the price point on something like this is mostly because of the high resolution thermal imager. The drone itself is impressive, but that's not really what you're paying for here. That's the rationale for having a thermal drone. I can put this thing up in the middle of the night and I can see everything around me for miles. I can see if a car is coming from as far as the horizon will permit. As far as I know, one of the highest resolutions that a civilian can get their hands on is a 640 by 512 thermal imager. It doesn't sound like much compared to a normal camera because what you're talking about here is the ability to detect and identify. You just want to know that there's something that's alive out there that's giving off a heat signature, and that extra bit of resolution is going to let you identify it at a much farther range. You don't want to go below a 300 pixel thermal imager. It's just not going to be that useful for preparedness purposes. It'll be fine if you do construction, if you want to know where the pipes, where the leaks are in the pipe, that sort of thing. There's a few reasons why Autel is a great company. And no, they did not pay me to say that, but I can tell you Autel is great because it's not geofenced, meaning that you can fly this anywhere, even if you're not supposed to fly it in a certain place. If you need FAA approval, of course, we're talking about SHTF. Don't break the law. Of course, as preppers, we probably don't like the color. Unless you're a first responder, then maybe you don't mind the color. That's not a big deal for me. It's in the sky. You're going to see it. You're going to hear it. It's not going to be disguised. Maybe if they had a transparent, translucent body or something, that might make it blend in a bit more, but you're going to hear the thing. One of the cool features of this is that there's all these accessories. So there's a speaker, there's a spotlight, there's a strobe function. There's also another thing that I don't have here, but you can attach it to this drone and it's gonna allow you to carry payloads. You're not gonna be able to carry a huge payload, but I think you can carry like 1.5 pounds or something, which is a respectable amount of stuff. So in order to activate the remote throw system, the release is triggered by the light sensor. There's not a dedicated button for this, so you have to go into your settings, and then you have to go into visual navigation, and then you just go into auxiliary bottom light and turn that to off. And then once you turn it on, that is going to drop the payload. So if you're looking at it on the bottom, it's gonna look like this. So now, I'll show you exactly what's gonna happen. So we're gonna put the auxiliary light on. See how it opened there? On, off. On, open, close. Very simple. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna hook up our peak refuel, and we are going to feed the communist cameraman who hasn't eaten in days. So we're gonna latch that onto there, and we're gonna make a little delivery. Make a delivery to the gulag. Attention, it is feeding time. Are you ready to receive your daily ration? Have you received your daily ration? Congratulations. Back to work. All right, so now we're gonna do a bit of a weight test, and we're gonna put a 2-pound payload. So we're gonna hook her up. I'm not sure how well this is gonna work, but wow. And that's what happens. It wasn't a catastrophic failure, but what was happening was the drone, I think it just realized that it was too much weight, because what I had done is I put the sensors on. The sensors were off because it was confusing the drone. So when I put the sensors on, it started to lower in altitude as if it was going to land, and then it started going every which way. So I think that really screwed it up. All right, back to the drawing board. We failed on the toilet paper. So we're trying to fly it in a very tightly enclosed space, which means that there's a lot of obstacles. And because this thing has so many sensors, it goes a little haywire if it thinks that there's a safety hazard. I felt like Elon Musk when he tested out the windows on the Cybertruck there. It can do anything. Let's try this again. Let's get on people's nerves. Christmas has come. Oh, yeah! Trump still stands. Lucky b****. Dodges a bullet, now dodges peak. Another cool thing that you can do with this drone is you can map an area. So you can ask it to map a certain region for you, and it'll go and it'll take a bunch of different pictures. You can put that into software and it will render the 3D environment, which is actually pretty cool. I've never done that, but it's something you can do. So this is meant to be an industrial / search and rescue type drone. It serves a variety of functions in that respect. So in terms of this particular drone, like not the thermal imager, 45 mile an hour top speed, which is fast enough. It has a 9-mile range. I think I've only tested it out to about 2.5 or 3 kilometers. If it loses a signal, then it's going to start flying back to the home point, so you don't have to worry about it flying off into the universe. It also has 16 times digital zoom and 4 times lossless optical zoom. Now that is very useful when it comes to wanting to see things that are far away in greater detail. 4 times zoom is quite a bit. It's not the greatest, but you know, it's enough that you can be high up in the sky, nobody will be able to see you there, and you'll be able to see exactly what they're doing. The flight time is 42 minutes. You can have this thing up in the sky for a long time, it seems. I've flown all kinds of drones. Typically, they come between a 15 to 30 minute flight time, and usually about 5 or 10 minutes is just getting established where you want to be. So to have that extra 15 minutes is huge. Like, it feels like you can just fly this thing forever up there. It gives you enough time that you can really survey an area, really kind of get to know where you're at, do what you got to do, and then bounce. Depending on the kit that you get extra batteries. Each battery is going to be an equivalent 45-minute flight time. Yeah, the controller itself, it's got an 8-inch screen and very high resolution. I'm not sure the amount of nits, but it's very bright. It's just a very premium made controller. Like, it's got a lot of heft to it. This is by no means an ultralight drone. This is something you're going to use at a base camp. And it's built very rugged. It's got just a very durable feel to it. You know, basically you got all your controls, your standard controls, your zoom in, your tilt, your standard joystick. You have your home button. So if you want to do, if you want to manually tell the drone to come home, you can just quickly press that. And there's a speaker on here. Warning, you are entering a contaminated area. Leave the premises immediately or you will be shot on sight. Warning, you are entering a contaminated area.
Jesus.
Leave the premises immediately or you will be shot on sight. Warning.
Actually hearing that.
Restricted area. Leave immediately or you will be shot on sight.
So let's take it for a little ride and let's go with some coworkers here. Chris is like, what the going on?
Are you gonna press the audio?
I got an idea. This will scare him. Do you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? Okay, let's quit harassing people. Now we'll show you the spotlight. So now that we've plugged that in, we'll have this option come on. And so we can go weak, we can go middle, and then we can go max brightness. And this really comes in handy at night. Again, my only problem with it is if you try to tilt this, you're gonna disconnect the circuit in there and it's a pain in the ass to get back on. So do not tilt this, as tempting as it might be. It seems obvious that it should have that feature because when you're flying a drone, you're looking down, not up. Now it's a floodlight, so it's still going to spill onto the ground, but that's one bad feature that needs to be improved, is that you cannot bend the light. Actually, let me show you what happened. So basically, what you're gonna be tempted to do is go like this. And why shouldn't you? It has a swivel point, but what's gonna happen is this is gonna come off. And the only way to get that back in there is to open this up. And it's a pain in the ass to open up. It still is fixable, but for the sake of this demonstration, we brought in another one just so that we could guarantee to show you the brightness level. They call it a spotlight, but it's definitely, I guess it's got a little bit of spot. Yeah, it is a spotlight, but it's got flood to it too. All right, so we're just testing this out in the warehouse so you can see the power of the light. I think the light is closer to around 2,000 lumens. So we're going to put the bird up in the sky. Another cool feature is that it's super fast to deploy. So I'm gonna show you how fast it is to deploy. I haven't prepped anything. We're gonna put a timer on the screen, all right? So I'm just gonna double press, which is pretty standard with drones. That. We're gonna double press the remote. And really all we're waiting to do now is for the thing to turn on, to the screen to turn on. Get a nice high resolution screen. Oftentimes with these drones, you need like blinders in order to see the screen. So we're still waiting here. A lot of the time you wait is just for this thing to load. But once you actually have this thing running, so right now, so all we're gonna do, we're gonna down diagonal press like that. And we're gonna go up. And there it is. Just like that. Right now you can see the communist cameraman. And if it's a hot day and you want to cool off, just stick your head underneath. It's got 360 optical avoidance. So yeah, in terms of the ease of use, if I hear somebody quadding through the property and I want to get a beat on them right away, 30 seconds, 45 seconds from start to finish, I put this thing on the ground, it takes off. And as you can see, there's a few different modes. So this is the thermal overlay. So you can go like that, and then we'll have a thermal overlay of the person. And so on the thermal overlay, we can click on whatever part of the scene in order to get spot temperature readings. And then if we want, we can do a transparent. So we can go like that if we want to see more detail of what's in the environment. If you just want to see thermal, you can do that. So you can see the studs in the wall back there. And if you turn this all the way down, then you can still see the heat signature. You can see what's hot, but you can also see the environment. So it's a cool feature that is almost like a night vision in a way, because it still allows you to get some of the details of the scene. So we can change our colors. This is Rain HC. I don't really like that one. Rainbow is okay. Black hot, so anything that's hot is going to be black. White hot, doing a Charlie Chaplin. Back to Iron Bow. Iron Bow is, personally, that's my favorite one. And then of course we can zoom in. So you can actually zoom in a lot. He does realize that he doesn't have to do this dance, right?
Let him have this
That's not part of the job. Okay, so as you can see here, we have the highest temperature and the lowest temperature, and then it's giving us also an average of those two temperatures. Okay, so I'm just going to show you some of the various modes here. So as you know, we have 4 times zoom. So if we can go 4 times, that's lossless. So that means that there's no loss in terms of resolution at 4 times. So let's just zoom in on Zelensky over there. I know you guys love that. That's our 4 times zoom on the crotches of Vladimir Putin and Zelensky. Okay, so now we can zoom out. Or we can go 16 times. But then that's digital zoom. So that means that you're losing a lot of image quality. And we'll go, so it shows you the extent of the zoom. So let's go here. So that's 2 times. That's 3 times, that's 4 times, and we can go all the way to 16 times. But you lose a lot of detail. That's a lot of zoom when you're talking about outside. We can autofocus or we can manual focus. We can change all of the, the standard things you would come to expect. So if you swipe on that side, it basically shows you everything. flight related information. Compass is normal, flight mode, what your battery levels are, what the gimbal status is, how much memory you have left in the card and on the onboard. This just tells you warning messages, things like that. It also allows you to directly do various preset type patterns. This is very typical of any kind of drone. So you can orbit, you can dynamic track. So if you want to track yourself walking through, if you want to track something and you want that to do it automatically. So say you're tracking an animal in the woods and you want this to just follow it, you can use that feature for it. This device has 16 sensors all over the drone, and you can shut all of that off because it gets kind of annoying sometimes if you're trying to navigate through tight corridors. It'll slow the drone down because it's worried about hitting the side, or it might not even proceed at all. So you might want to disable that at times, but just be warned that, of course, that could potentially mean that the thing is going to run into something, right? You know, there's a lot of manual features on here on the controller itself. So you have your USB, you have your USB-C, which is for charging as well as data, and the USB is for data. Then you have the HDMI, which of course is your output. So it shows you also your remote control connection. So that's going to go down the further the drone flies. You can cast this screen to a TV, a computer screen, anything that is cast compatible, which I think is Bluetooth. If there was a TV screen on within range, it would show up on here. You also can get a dedicated casting box, which is going to allow you to plug in via HDMI into any TV screen or computer screen. All right, so the battery charger, it comes with a dock if you get the complete kit. And this particular kit came with 3 batteries. Definitely would recommend you at least want 2 batteries, because of course if you were on a mission and you had to continue the mission, then in the very least you could swap out the batteries and then put one on a charger, and then hopefully by the time you needed it again, they take maybe a couple hours to charge. So 3 is perfect because you get enough batteries that you can continuously run the drone. This particular dock actually has room for another battery. It's a good dock, charges things very quickly. So I believe you can plug this thing in via DC. So they give you a DC adapter for this as well. The batteries themselves are, I think, 7,100 milliamp hours. Fairly heavy duty battery. Primarily, the main reason why I have the drone is for the thermal imager. There's also an RTK module, and the RTK module is going to allow you to get very precise GPS measurements down to the centimeter. So as it stands right now, if I were to tell this drone to come home, it would probably be accurate within a few feet. If you have the RTK accessory on there, it's going to be almost exactly where it launched from. That's where it's going to land. So that's a cool feature. That costs around 800 bucks. I don't think I have a lot of use for something like that, but it's there if you need it, mostly for industrial applications once again. The case, you do get the case with it. I mean, for the price you pay, I guess you would expect a Pelican-like case. So it's a waterproof case, really heavy duty, really rugged, not cheap. It's got the custom laser cut foam molding. It's definitely a professional, very capable system. If you want to get one, I'll post a link in the description below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com, where you'll find high-quality survival gear at the best prices, no junk, and no gimmicks. Use discount code PREPPINGGEAR for 10% off. Don't forget, the strong survive, but the prepared thrive. Stay safe.